What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we're going to be going over the glory of the Ny'alotha Raider meta achievement. This expansion is coming to an end, meaning this raid tier is as well, so this meta achievement awards the Wriggling Parasite mount. Now before we get started, some things to go over that you should get beforehand. I would highly recommend the Instance Achievement Tracker add-on. This will print out when certain criteria is met during the fight, who has met this criteria, and when your group is good to kill the boss. Only one person in your raid needs to have this add-on, and they should configure in the settings to say over raid warning when certain criteria is met, meaning if they aren't the raid leader, you should give them assist. Anyways, as far as classes goes, I'd highly recommend at least one monk healer for revival on Vexy Onus achievement. 2 would be ideal, but I'd at least recommend 1. Mass Dispel for priests will kind of work, but it isn't nearly as good as monk's revival. And then a blood decay for Gorfian's grasp on a couple of bosses, but mostly Elegance is very helpful. And the last thing is you definitely want to run the raid on normal. There's no reason to run it on heroic for achieves, and certainly not mythic. So anyways, let's get started. Smoke test. Wrathion's achievement. So there's a good chance your group will have this achievement if you've downed Wrathion in any difficulty, normal and higher, because it's commonly gotten on accident and regular runs. Your group needs to destroy 10 crackling shards within a 3-second window. This is by either killing them or the scale runners running through them. So to get this achievement, you want to designate 3 fast players to stand in the scales during Wrathion's phase 2, and then just turn around and run straight, running through as many scales as possible while your group kills the others, and focus on big clusters of shards obviously. Then once 10 of them die in a 3-second window, Instance Achievement Tracker will let you know that the criteria is met so you can kill Wrathion. Phase 3, Prophet. Prophet Skitter's achievement. It's an easy one. So what your group wants to do before you enter Skitter's room is kill most of the trash in this big area here. Then walk down this hallway here killing trash until you get to the Disciple of Prophet ad. Don't pull this out of course, then head to Skitter's room and clear the remaining trash. Once the trash is dead, one of your tanks should run out of the room to that Disciple of Prophet ad. Pull it and run towards Skitter's room with it. Tank should really have no problem dragging it into the room. It can be a fast tank like a druid or a demon hunter or whatever to speed things up, but it really shouldn't matter. Now once the ad is pulled towards Skitter, go ahead and pull the boss, and the Disciple of Prophet ad will spawn 2 more Disciple of Prophet ads, Heroism or Bloodlust, and kill them all. The only thing to really look out for is that random players will get this purple rings around them. Spread these out, and then interrupted Shadow Bolt ability. Once all 3 of them are dead, kill Skitterra for your achievement. Mana Sponge, Mott's achievement. So for this, your group needs to kill a forbidden manifestation, then kill Mott. So how to do this is you want to designate one tank to tank the dark manifestations, and the other tank to take the boss. You can of course use a 3rd tank here if you really need 2 tanks on the boss. So when the first dark manifestation ad spawns, the tank should just taunt it to the boss for the boss to soak up. When the second ad spawns, the ad tank should tank it off to the side in one of the purple puddles. Then as the 3rd ad is spawning, the boss tank should taunt that second ad into the boss, and the ad tank should tank the 3rd ad, and thus phase 2 will trigger with the 1 ad up. This ad tank needs to get this ad hit by one of the mana orbs, so you need to position yourself for this to be possible. Once the dark manifestation gets hit by one of the mana orbs coming in from the edge of the room, it will turn into a forbidden manifestation ad. It should then be brought on top of the boss to be killed. You can use Heroism or Bloodlust either here to kill it or at the beginning of the fight. Just be aware that if you use Hero or Bloodlust to kill it, that your group may need to not go all out on the boss so they don't kill themselves. Just depends on how healing is. Once the ad dies, your group will kill Mott for the achievement. Buzzer Beater, Zanesh's achievement. So this is the first achievement that has a bit of difficulty to it. Not too difficult, but it's more difficult than the previous 3. So for this achievement, you need 3 Void Orbs to reach the respective portals with 3 seconds left on the Void Awoken debuff. So first off, you need to designate 3 players to get into the Void Ritual zones for the orb part. It's normal, so it can be the same 3 people each time, and then really only 2 people need to worry about bouncing the orb. They need to bounce the orb around where the portal is, then keep bouncing it back and forth until your Void Woken debuff has about 4 seconds left on it, then bounce it into the portal. Remember, depending on how far both of you are from the portal, it does take 1 to 2 seconds for the orb to reach the portal. One of the attempts we did, we bounced the orb into the portal with 0 seconds left on the debuff, and it didn't count it, so just be aware of that. Now one of our attempts at shooting it into the portal, it didn't go in, but Instance Achievement Tracker counted it as 1 for whatever reason. I guess it hit a certain hitbox. So be aware of that. That obviously didn't count as 1, so we continued as if it wasn't 1. A couple of other things to note about this achievement. The 3 orbs do not have to be consecutive. You can get 1 orb in, then not make the timer on the following 2, and then get the 2 after that in, and you're good. This boss does have a 15-minute berserk timer. If there are dead people, they'll still get the achievement, don't worry, and when you get the orb in with sub 3 seconds left on the buff, fireworks will shoot out of the portal. Anyways, that's the achievement. Total Annihilation, Vexy Onus achievement. This one can be pretty healing intensive, and this is where your monk healer with revival comes in. So for this achievement, everyone has to take 30 ticks from Annihilation. That's the big beam in the fight, and then you down Vexy Onus. So Annihilation is caused from either the Void Descendant's ad, or when the Void Descendant's ad dies, it drops an orb that the tank can use on the group. Now each tick from Annihilation increases the tick damage from the next tick by 25%, and it keeps stacking up. The reason I'm referring to them as ticks is because a full Annihilation beam will give out 20 stacks of the debuff to anyone that it gets hit by from start of it to the end of it. The best way to do this is at the beginning of the fight. I'd recommend doing it before the boss's first transition phase. So start the fight off with 1 stack point by the boss and focus DPS on the boss, and a tank should take the Void Ascendant ad at the beginning of the fight and face it towards the raid. It will cast its Annihilation beam on the group, and everyone should stay stacked for it to get its full 20 stacks. So halfway through it, when it's at about 10 stacks, your monk healer should revival to clear all of the stacks, and the group will end up with the remaining 10 stacks. Now towards the end of this Annihilation cast, there will be encroaching shadows that go out on a few players. If you stay stacked for the entire Annihilation beam, the encroaching shadows players will still have about 3 seconds to get them out of the group once Annihilation is over. So make sure to do this because you definitely don't want to drop encroaching shadows on the group. Now Priest's Mass Dispel will only dispel like 5 debuffs or something like that, versus Monk's Revival, which will dispel all of them. So just be aware of that. Roughly everyone should have a total of 20 stacks, and since Achievement Tracker will tell you how many stacks everyone has gotten, so you pretty much do the same thing with the Void Ascendant ad to get the last bit of stacks. So everyone just needs to get a total of 30 stacks of it through the fight. Now dead players who have not gotten their 30 ticks of it do need to be battle res, or no one will get the achievement. But once a player has gotten 30 ticks of Annihilation, it's fine for them to die, and everyone, including them, will get the achievement. You do need to kill Vexy Onus once everyone has gotten 30 ticks of it, but that's the Total Annihilation achievement. You can pet the dog, but Shahar's achievement. So for this achievement, everyone has to pet Shahar, and then you defeat him. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, Shahar does get a haste buff for 5 seconds once he's pet. So to do this, you'll want each person in your raid to pet Shahar, wait 5 seconds for the debuff to fall off, then another person pet him. Now 2 people cannot pet him in a 5-second window. It does have a cooldown to it, and once someone has successfully pet him, they will get a bitten hand debuff. So you can set this up however you see fit. You can call out each person's name to pet the boss, 5 seconds apart. You can just have everyone repeatedly keep petting him until they get the bitten hand debuff. What my group did is everyone was essentially designated a number. Once that number was called, they could pet the boss, and I would recommend making a /pet macro if you think that will help you, just so you don't have to type it out, but instead hit a button. Now one other thing to make this achievement easier is based on your raid size, you may be able to get it in phase 1 or the beginning of phase 2 if you have like 10 or 12 people, but if you have a larger raid size, I recommend getting the criteria for this achievement before entering phase 3, since phase 3 does have a time limit to it, with the green puddle in the center growing in size. But once everyone at the raid has pet Shahar, kill the boss for your achievement. Temper Tantrum, Drestigath's achievement. So you need Throes of Agony to be cast twice in a 1-minute period, and Throes of Agony is cast every time the boss reaches 100 energy, and the boss gains energy each time an ad is killed, and every time an ad is killed, the boss gets 20 energy. So to do this achievement, kill the 2 eyes of Drestigath, which will make it go up to 40 energy. Kill the tentacle at one of the corners of the room, which will make it go up to 60 energy. Then kill the maw at the opposite corner of the room for the boss to go up to 80 energy. Then chill. You can have a DPS or 2 attack one of the remaining ads to get it low, but you do not want to kill this ad until more ads spawn. Once the next set of ads spawn, pop Heroes More Bloodlust and kill the lowest ad, which will trigger the first Throes of Agony. Then have your raid go ham, killing 5 more ads. These 5 ads need to die within a minute for him to do his next Throes of Agony. Once the boss does his second Throes of Agony, criteria has been met for you to kill the boss. Bloody Mess, Elegance achievement. So this one is pretty healing intensive, so be aware of that. Your group needs to kill 10 bloods of Ny'alotha within a 3-second window. There's a couple of ways to do this, but my group did this in phase 3 when there's already tons of ads up. So anyways, do the fight like normal, however your group does it, and then when Ny'alotha is at about 20% health before the last organ spawn, your group should stop killing the bloods at that point. Everyone should run to the last organ and DPS it down. Once it dies, everyone is in the last quadrant and no one should kill any bloods. Instance achievement tracker will tell you how many bloods are up at this time. I'd wait until there are about 12 to 14 bloods active. Your group can slow closer bloods while further bloods have more time to get in. But once at least 12 bloods or so are close, your blood DK tank should Gorfine's grasp them all in, pop Heroism or Bloodlust, and nuke them down. And every healing cooldown you have should be used here. I think the Shaman Spirit Link is probably the most useful, but every time a blood dies, it will do 50 to 60k damage to everyone. So in this 3-second window, everyone will be taking 500 to 600k damage. So hopefully you kill those 10 bloods in that 3-second window. Instance achievement tracker will tell you how much time was left once you killed all 10 bloods. For us, we had 0.21 seconds, so we cut it pretty close. But then down Ny'alotha for your achievement. Realizing your potential, Hive Mind's achievement. So don't worry, this one is a lot easier than the last. There are 3 bugs scattered around Ny'alotha that someone in your group should pick up. It can be 3 different people, or it can all be the same person. So here I am starting outside Zanesh's room. Walk into the small hallway and take a right. There will be a little bug sitting in this cubbyhole by this little fire pillar thing. Anyways, pick that bug up, and that's 1 of 3. Now exit that room. And the next one is by the giant hole in the ground leading to Shahar. Now my group had not done Shahar's achievements yet, which is why all the trash is up. That's why I put Shahar's first in the video, but the bug is to the right of the hole. If you hadn't killed Shahar yet, you can have someone stealth pick it up like me, but picking up the bug does cancel stealth, but it shouldn't really be a problem for a rogue or druid though. Then the third bug is in the hallway to Hive Mind's room. As you enter, take a left, and in this red mist is the third bug. Once all 3 bugs have been picked up, you can engage the Hive Mind. So about 10 seconds or so into the fight, when the drones spawn, 3 evolved specimens spawned off of me. These 3 need to die for the achievement. So just use Heroism or Bloodlust to nuke all of the bugs down, and you're good. They don't need to die in any timed fashion. They just need to die. Now it's also important to note that the bug debuff that you get for picking up bugs do not persist through death, so make sure to not die on your way to the Hive Mind room. Also, if your group does wipe before you kill the boss, comments on Wowhead said that the bugs do respawn after 30 minutes. So take that as you will. They may respawn if everyone leaves the instance and the raid lead resets the instance. I'm not 100% sure on that, but someone can check it if they'd like. Anyways, kill the Hive Mind after all 3 evolved specimen have died for your achievement. How isn't it Obelisk Rod's achievement? So before you start the fight, you'll notice an obelisk on each far corner of the room. There's a total of 2 of them. These obelisks need to be destroyed for the achievement. This involves using the Unstable Void, which is the little hacky sack, ping pong, whatever your group calls that thing, to destroy them. So you want to set up a group of 5 people to use the Unstable Void to destroy the obelisk. Start the fight off tanking Rodin in the center where he begins and killing the essence of Vita Orb, so the Void ad spawns. Once the Unstable Void spawns, the first person, and only them, should stand in it and face the direction of the first obelisk you're destroying. Then the other 4 should go ahead and get into positions. Remember, the direction you're facing is the direction the Unstable Void will move, so make sure it gets all the way to the obelisk, so the Void circle is over the obelisk to destroy it. But whoever is supposed to be standing in the circle at that time, whether it's the 4th or 5th person, does need to make sure they stand in it. The obelisk will not soak it for you. I say 4th or 5th because the first obelisk we destroyed, it was on the 4th circle, but make sure someone stands in the 5th circle to avoid raid by damage. Then make sure to kill the Void ad because he sucks, kill the Void orb next because you can't let Rodin soak the same orb twice in a row, kill the Vita ad, then make sure to not push Rodin to 40% since you don't want to trigger his last phase. Once the next set of orbs spawn, kill the Vita orb so you can use the second Unstable Void to take out the next obelisk, then defeat the boss for your achievement. Cleansing Treatment, Carapace of N'alotha's achievement. So fair warning, this is the most difficult achievement in here. You need to kill all of the synthesis growths in phase 2 within a 10-second window. This fight may be a little easier with a bigger raid size, like around 20, so before the fight starts, you want to split your group up into 2 groups, making DPS even as much as possible between the groups. This is so one group can go up the left side and one group can go up the right side in phase 2, and then you can go even further and split those groups up into another 2 groups each, making a total of 4 groups. And what this is for is when all the synthesis growths get low, one group on each side can be in the bulb part of the side, and the other group on each side can be on the hallway part of each side, if that makes sense. There's a diagram on the screen now of what I mean. Do phase 1 like normal. Try your best to not die to the giant tentacle in phase 1, since you'll need all the DPS you can get for phase 2. Once phase 2 starts, have your groups go up their respective sides to DPS the growths. I'd also recommend doing a fair amount of DPS to the cysts on the ground as well, so your group can freely move throughout their side. Like if you have an affliction lock, I'd suggest their main role to be going between sides, putting dots on the cysts, since their dots can do a significant amount of damage to the growths at a time when you don't want to kill the growths. The biggest thing to look out for on this achievement is the membrane shield that he puts on the growths. He'll put it on the cysts or the growths. He'll put it on the growths towards the start of phase 2, but it should, for the most part, be fine to DPS the shield off as long as the growth has at least 90% health, because keep in mind, DPSing a membrane shield off of a growth will do 60% of its health, so if it's at 50% and you DPS it off, well, you've most likely failed the achievement. So to be on the safe side, I'd wait the 10 seconds for the membrane shield to fall off of the growths before DPSing them. So anyways, DPS them all down to roughly 30% because of dots and whatnot. Then we had our tanks on either side come in from the start of the hallways to DPS the growths down further to about 15%. We had another membrane shield spawn on all of the growths when they were at about 40-ish%, at which point we halted all DPS and made sure to not break through the shield. Waited it out for 10 seconds for the shield to fall off, then continued DPSing the growths further. Now once the side has all the growths down to about 10 to 20%, I'd recommend using a cloak here to halt all DPS on them and to get everyone's sanity back to normal. Since some people may be at low sanity, then when the other side is at that same point, they should use their cloak. Then everyone should go up their sides and pick a synthesis growth to get ready to DPS. If a membrane shield is about to go off, wait for it to go off because you don't want the shield to pop up in the middle of your rig killing the growths. So then wait the 10 seconds out, pop Heroism or Bloodlust, and go to town killing all the growths you can. As soon as one dies, move to the next. Continue and continue until they all die in the 10-second window for the achievement. And you did it. Now you just have to make sure to kill the boss for your achievement. It's not a cult, Ny'alotha's achievement. So for this achievement, you want everyone in the raid to get the Gift of Ny'alotha debuff before killing Ny'alotha. Now this does not mean everyone has to have the debuff up at the moment Ny'alotha dies. This just means if someone does get it through the fight, they are fine to die. You're still good for the achievement, and the Gift of Ny'alotha debuff is gotten once someone reaches 0 sanity. They get a 20-second debuff that increases their DPS by a good amount, but they get mind controlled at the end of the 20 seconds. So to do this achievement, do phase 1 and 2 like normal, however a group does it. Now going into phase 3, you'll want everyone in your raid to have around 50 sanity. If you have full sanity, then you'll want to take damage from extra things to drain more sanity. And if you go into phase 3 with 5 or 10 sanity, then I'd recommend using your necklace for a quick second to gain a little sanity, but try to not go above 50. Keep in mind, you can use your extra action button and then move after a second or two to not get the full sanity that it's supposed to give you. So when the Thought Harvester ad spawns and they do their Harvest Thoughts ability, everyone that has above 50 sanity should stand in it and it will drain some of your sanity. Now you want to DPS Ny'alotha down to 15% health and keep killing the Thought Harvester ads. And doing this until everyone has below 50 sanity. Now if you get to the point where you have anywhere from 1 to 4 people with more than 50 sanity, then they need to take sanity damage from other sources. The best way to do this is to sidestep through Dark Anguish puddles on the ground. They do a ton of damage, so I'd recommend using a defensive cooldown as you walk through one, and it will quickly drain your sanity. Now once everyone has less than 50 sanity, let a Thought Harvester's Harvest Thoughts go off without anyone stacking in it. This will drain everyone's sanity by 50, meaning that everyone will get the Gift of Ny'alotha debuff. Pop Heroism or Bloodlust and go all out on the boss, killing him before everyone gets mind controlled. And there you have it, your final achievement for Glory of the Ny'alotha Raider, which will award you the Wriggling Parasite mount. I hope this achievement wasn't that bad for you. I do think this is one of the more easier Glory achievements. Well, easier than Eternal Palace and Desire Lore anyways. For my group, it was mainly Carapace's achievement we had trouble with, then just a few hiccups on Xanash. But anyways guys, I hope this video was helpful at all to you. If it was, then feel free to leave a like on it, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.